Welcome to Trust Talks with BBB Serving CT. I'm Kristen Johnson. In business, trust talks. And Better Business Bureau's mission is to enhance marketplace trust. In each program, we hope to give you a better idea of what to expect, what to look for, and what to look out for so you can spend your money wisely and avoid being scammed. Today, we're going to take you on a journey through the home buying experience and tell you about some of the scams you might run into as you look to finance a home, search for that forever home, and go through the home inspection process. We have three experts with us today. Jason Garbus is a mortgage broker and president of Ascend Financial Network. Michael DiBiase is the founder of the MAP team at Higgins Group Private Brokerage. And Bruce Walsh is the owner of All Pro Home Inspection Services, LLC. Thank you, all three of you, for being with us today.
Thank you.
We're going to start with Jason. You know, when we're interested in moving, it's only natural for us to pick up our phones. So we're excited to find that perfect home, but that's really putting the cart before the horse, isn't it?
It is. You really need to find out what you can qualify for first. In a highly competitive market like we're in today, most realtors won't even show you a home unless you've been pre-qualified first. So, I mean, nothing is worse than going and looking at houses you can't afford and getting your hopes up and then finding out you can't buy it in the end. But also the other side happens where you qualify for more than you're really comfortable spending every month. So you should really hone in on what bracket of houses you're looking at. I think a lot of people get confused that they're just going to get pre-qualified for some blanket amount. It really goes off the monthly payment. So that's a good focus point for people of how much do you really want to spend per month. Let's get our ducks in a row, get you a pre-qualification letter, then send you off with your realtor looking at a more honed in list of homes that you can shop for.
So, Michael, once you know what you can afford, that's when the fun begins. It's been a seller's market. Tell me what first-time home buyers need to know right now about this process.
First-time home buyers, to piggyback off Jason a little bit, is that number one, you have to have a fresh pre-qualification because the qualifications have changed over time. Number two, you're going to want to know the inventory immediately. I think to be prepared for the market properly, you're going to want to work with a realtor professional that knows what's coming on the market and that is feeding you real-time information. You hate to say it, but in this type of market, the seller's market, if you wait till the weekend, and it could be a Tuesday, likely that house could be gone in 48 hours or less. That's how strong of a seller's market is. You want to be informed and you want to have a realtor that's a professional and knows what's going on in the industry. So meaning that they know surrounding towns, they know what exactly you're looking for, they know other professionals in the field to kind of assist you along in the process.
And then, Bruce, once you find what you hope is the perfect home, it's really important to have a home inspection, and hiring a home inspector can really save you money in the long run, can't it?
Absolutely. Buying a home is one of the most expensive things you'll ever do in your life. And to protect yourself, you hire a highly trained professional home inspector to look at the entire home as a system, and then provide you with a very detailed report on the condition of the home. So you can purchase that home or not purchase that home based on an educated decision. Most home buyers look at homes for curb appeal. They look at the bathrooms and kitchen upgrades. They look at the number of bedrooms in the home, and that's about it. They don't go into the basement. They don't go into the attics. They don't look at the electrical, plumbing, HVAC systems, all the things that a home inspector does for you and provides you with a very detailed report, possibly saving you thousands of dollars.
Is it required to have a home inspection?
It's not mandated. The only thing that's mandated is the appraisal, but home inspections are not mandated, but it is highly recommended. Anyone who passes on a home inspection is taking a big risk.
So Jason, though, I've heard that your lender may require a home inspection. Is that the case?
You don't see that as much in all the mortgage products. You see it in a lot of the government-based products, specifically like if you were going to get a VA loan, you have to get a pest inspection, and the lender does require to see that. But in most cases, in a normal conventional mortgage that's not a government-backed mortgage, the lender won't ask to see the home inspection anymore.
Michael, a lot of times the realtor will work with a home inspection team, right? So you don't have to go out and find your own home inspector. They will provide you with a recommendation.
Correct. Yep. We have a list of professionals that we work with that we send out to different areas of the state. In addition, once the report comes in that we spoke of, we actually go through that. There's contingency set up to protect home buyers per the inspection. So if something was unsatisfactory, we can actually use that as a negotiation tool going forward. And that's why, to speak on Bruce's point, it's very imperative that we have the home inspection. We push those 100% of the time.
Now, I have heard the concern, Bruce, that the real estate agent and the home inspector are in cahoots. And so the home inspector might not be as forthcoming about issues that they see because they don't want to ruin the sale. I mean, is that a problem that you commonly see in your industry?
No, that couldn't be any further from the truth, because there's a lot of liability for not only the home inspector, but also the real estate agent, the broker, and everybody involved in the transaction. So I'm working for the person buying the home, and that's the only person I'm working for. I'm doing what's in the best interest of that person to educate them about the overall condition of the home so they can make a decision to buy or pass on the home based on our inspection.
But Michael, if someone is concerned and they feel like there were problems, once they move in and they're like, wait, why didn't this home inspector point this out? You, as the real estate agent, you'd want to know that, right?
Yes, we would want to know if there were issues in the home. That's why we have a thorough review process prior. And like I say, the contingencies, once they're in place, we review them with the seller as well. If we were representing the buyer, or if I was representing the seller, we're waiting on these to come in. So we know for every home inspection, there are going to be a list of issues. There's never a perfect home. That's why it's imperative to have.
So Bruce, you decide to venture out on your own. Maybe you're not going to use who your real estate agent recommends. What should you look for when hiring a home inspector?
Well, the first thing you should look for is to make sure that they're certified and licensed through the state of Connecticut. So Connecticut mandates licensing certification. So you make sure that that's the case. You can ask them for their license. They are obligated to provide that. I have my license here. This is what you should see from a home inspector.
Okay.
If you ask for it, they have to provide that. So it's important that they're licensed. Also, look and see if they have an online presence. If there's reviews online about the company, make sure they have longevity in the industry. See if they're tied to any agencies like Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors, the Better Business Bureau, and look into their companies that way and do a little research. And also, when you get the home inspector on the phone, interview them, so to speak. Ask pertinent questions and get a good gut feeling for who you like as a home inspector.
Very good. Well, the FBI reports that more than 13,000 people were victims of real estate fraud in 2021. Jason, let's talk a little bit about deceptive practices. Trigger lead lenders. What is that? Why should we be concerned?
Trigger leads is in the forefront now more than it has been in the last few years, given the way that our market is right now. So what's happening with the trigger lead lender is the credit bureaus, the minute you have a credit inquiry, the minute you have your credit pulled by a company, by a bank, by a lender, by basically anyone, the credit bureaus themselves are selling your information to lenders that are buying them, thus the triggering of it. They get their credit pulled, that triggers the lender to get your information that's buying it. And then they are going under the guise of somebody you're already working with. So you're seeing it by either phone call or text message is the most common, where they say, hey, we saw that, you got your credit run by X company. We're helping them get this deal done. And in reality, it's some random lender somewhere else pretending to be the person that you're working with. So what I recommend to my clients, especially now, is they really have to get on the opt-out or the pre-screen. So there's really two different websites that you can do this with. The government has their own, and that's that website is www.donotcall.gov, and then the one for the credit bureaus is www.optoutprescreen.com, and they take 5 or 6 days to take effect. So if you're thinking about getting qualified and you have the opportunity, the 5 or 6 day lead time, you want to jump on both of those sites. It's free to do it. Put your information on there, and you could really reduce the amount of the fraudulent trigger lenders that would try to reach out to you in that way.
Is this the same as predatory lenders? And what are the red flags we should be looking for?
So predatory lenders is a little bit different. You're not seeing that as much since the Frank-Dodd laws got passed in 2010. Specifically, a predatory lender is somebody that's charging more fees or a higher rate, generally over 5% in fees or 1.5% above the average prime offered rate. You'll see those are the technical definitions of a predatory lender, but for the most part, owner-occupied properties in Connecticut are shielded from those things now. You don't see that as much, but if you're a first-time investor, that's really where I would be on the lookout for a predatory lender. If you're an investment buyer or a business loan purpose buyer, all those rules don't exist. So if you're a first-time investor, I really think you should talk to a professional about what you should be looking for those things, because those are the people that are at risk.
Okay, I want to move to Michael, talk about some real estate scams. The fake listing, I hear this a lot with rental scams. What should people be looking for? How do you avoid it or even know if something is legitimate?
The very simple answer is if it's too good to be true, it usually is. I think what you look for if you're seeing homes that seem super cheap, send cash now options with rentals or purchases, your best bet is to call your local realtor or whom you're working with. I get those calls on a consistent basis. Say, Michael, I saw this on Craigslist or some other site like that. It seems like it was too good to be true. They asked me upfront cash. Can you help me through this? And then your realtor should be able to cross-check that through the multiple listing service, or even go on other sites that have the rental listings and call a potential listing agent or a homeowner for you and vet the process.
There are also scams that target current homeowners, people that have already bought a home. The foreclosure relief scam. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The foreclosure relief scam is basically, it's predatory, as Jason was saying before. People are having financial difficulties. What they do is they call and say, if you send us X amount of cash now, we can get your home out of foreclosure and assist you through the process. And once again, even if there's mailings that request the same information, you should immediately call your mortgage broker. And I would keep in mind that you wouldn't want to call the number on the letter. And a lot of people make that mistake. There may be a good 1-800 number that seems very legit. Call your mortgage broker and state this is what's occurred, or call your lender that was prior to this person reaching out to you.
And Bruce, I understand that scams are a little less common these days in the home inspection industry than they used to be. Why is that?
Well, because the state mandated certification and licensing. Prior to that, anybody with a pickup truck and a ladder could be a home inspector. And there were scams going on. There were lawsuits, and the state finally stepped in and said, we're going to stop all this nonsense, and we're going to mandate certification and licensing. And along with that goes a standard, a document that shows all the standards of practice that a home inspector has to abide by. And if they don't, they could jeopardize losing their license.
So does a home buyer have any recourse if they feel like they were misled about the condition of their home?
Absolutely. The first step would be to contact the home inspector and talk to them about your issue and see if you can work it out between the two of you. If you can't, then the next step would be mediation. You can get a mediation set up between you and a mediator and the home buyer, and see if you could work it out that way. And if all else fails, then lawsuits would be the final. Ultimately the final way to get anything done or moving in the right direction to your satisfaction as a buyer.
I want to do a little round robin. I'll go down the line. What is the most common question you get from your clients, and what do you wish they would ask you?
I'd say the two most common questions come at the same time. What are rates, and then how much down payment do I need? It's very specific to a lot of the criteria of the people themselves. So it's what type of property are you buying? Are you buying a single family home, a multifamily home, a condo? Those are all different interest rates. What's your credit score? What's your debt to income ratio? All these things impact the rate. So when somebody calls and just goes, what's your rate? It's hard to answer that without giving a very wide range, without having any detail from the person who calls in the first place.
Okay, Michael, same question to you.
I get asked probably the most what my closing costs would be. So at the end of the transaction, what the closing cost that the people with cash they would have to bring to the table, and that usually ranges from 3 to 6%. The questions that I wish I got asked more were, is it okay to buy furniture prior to closing on the home?
Oh, no.
Is it okay to purchase a vehicle prior to purchasing a home? And the answer is always no. You want to keep your credit and cash purchases to a very minimum until you actually close on the house. And it's imperative because it affects your debt to income ratio.
And that affects your credit score and
Everything.
how much that you can
Right, how much you qualify
finance.
for, exactly. And large cash deposits going into your account, switching jobs. These are things I like to try to tell people. If you're getting ready to buy a house, don't make any kind of sketchy deposits or switch your job right before. These are going to be things that are going to take some time to get past.
Okay, that's good to know. And Bruce, what's the most common question you get from clients? And I understand there's something you wish your buyers would do more.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. So the most common question is the seller obligated to fix, replace, repair any of the things that we find during the home inspection? My answer to them is they're not obligated to do any of it. They are obligated to or mandated to update smoke and CO detectors only. That's about it. Other than that, they're not obligated, but it doesn't hurt to ask, and that's where your real estate agent will protect you, and they'll put together a nice list and present it to the seller and see if they will oblige you on any of those requests.
Okay. Jason, what should first-time home buyers know about the loan application process that you haven't already kind of talked about?
Well, it's going to go back over 2 years for the most part. They're going to want to know where have you worked for the last 2 years, where have you lived for the last 2 years. They're going to want to know what you have for assets or liquid money in the bank, even if you don't have the money ready, even just knowing what the plan would be, whether you're going to be getting a gift from a family member, whether it's going to be a grant from your employer or a state or local government agency. We're going to go through all that with a fine-tooth comb, and then ultimately determine what you can qualify for per month, which is what I touched on before. It's not just, okay, you qualify for $300,000. It's more, you qualify for $3,000 a month. Do you want to go lower than that or up to that amount? And then based on where you're looking, we'll then let you go backwards and say, because your mortgage payment is really 4 different things. PITI, P-I-T-I is a good acronym to remember. It's principal and interest. That's your actual mortgage. How much am I borrowing over however many years, at what interest rate? That's your mortgage itself. The T is taxes, property taxes. And the last I is insurance, which could encompass your regular home insurance, flood insurance, or even mortgage insurance. So that's why it's hard to just give somebody a blanket, because if you're looking at 2 different towns that are the same dollar amount, the taxes could vary so wildly that you might qualify for $1 amount in this town and a different dollar amount in the town next over.
Oh, interesting. And Michael, if you already own a home and you're looking to sell and buy a new home, what's the order? Do you sell your home first? Is there a magic way of selling your home and buying a new home and being able to move out and move in all at the same time?
In a perfect world, you would want to be able to sell your home first, especially in today's market. I think if you're able to sell your home, you'll have your capital and be able to be up more upfront in purchasing an offer. So you'd be kind of shuffled to the top of the pile, having liquidity from a home sale. If you have a contingency in place that you need to sell your home prior, in a competitive market, unfortunately, your offer kind of drops to the bottom. So in a perfect world, as a home seller, if you were searching for a home and selling at the same time, you would have a temporary place to stay. And whether it's a 30 to 60 day stay, that would put your purchase power probably at the highest level.
Okay. And Bruce, who pays for the inspection?
It would be the buyer. The person buying the home would pay for the service.
So that's something else we have to consider when we're looking at our overall costs.
Right.
Okay. Well, you are all accredited with the Better Business Bureau. So I want to know why you chose to be accredited and what you've gotten out of that. And Jason, I'll start with you.
The number one thing is trust. I mean, if people see that you have a high rating and you're an accredited business in your industry, it builds trust right away. Especially for a local business. All 3 of us are local small businesses. We don't have the same exposure as maybe a national brand would have, so it gives consumers a way to look and see, okay, these guys are legitimate. And they know that we're not going to be deceptive and we're going to be honest, we're going to be responsive, because if not, we not only have to deal with our own state agencies that we each have, but we also have to deal with the Better Business Bureau. So you know, if you have a high accreditation, a high rating, that people can trust you.
Very good, Michael.
I think that was probably a perfect answer, to be honest. And I think just having the BBB behind it's a very recognized brand. So when people see it, they know they're dealing with a trusted source.
And Bruce, why did you choose to be accredited?
Absolutely. Just to reiterate what Jason said, trust is the number one. When I look at the BBB logo on a company, I think of trust. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And it sets us as business owners above and beyond other companies who are not accredited with the BBB. I think it separates us from them because we're trustworthy. And people look at us and look at our reviews on the BBB and other places and say they're affiliated with the BBB. They are to be trusted.
Thank you. And you can check out the business profiles for all 3 of these accredited BBB businesses at bbb.org. Again, I want to thank Jason, Michael, and Bruce for sharing their expertise with us today. And thank you for joining us for Trust Talks. We'll see you next time.
Nick Augustino right here at the East Side Restaurant. We always have the complete full dinner menu. Knockwurst, bratwurst, sauerbraten, potato pancakes, red cabbage, rice pudding, cream pies, all the desserts that Germany had to offer. I always do something different. Yes, I do. I brought seafood to the beer garden at the East Side Restaurant. East Side Restaurant, your German destination restaurant in Connecticut. Tiki-taka, hoy, hoy, hoy!